What is up, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of Orioles Weekly. It's Monday, July 22nd. We are getting closer and closer to the trade deadline, but the Orioles have the day off today. No game today. We're going to talk a little bit about their weekend series in Texas. It was the first series after the All-Star break. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about the upcoming series against the Marlins and some other topics we're going to talk about tonight. But good to have everybody here. Hope everybody's having a good start to their Monday morning. Bad weather outside, so hopefully the internet will hold up for us and we won't get kicked off here. But good to have everybody in. And hope everybody's having a good start to their day. There's Melissa, my one and only person in here right now. Actually, I got 3 people watching. But got lots to talk about. Want to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. For those that don't know, every Monday night, there's Jeannie. Welcome in, Jeannie. Good to see you. Every Monday night, most Monday nights, 7 p.m., right here, we have Orioles Weekly. And, of course, then on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, you'll get usually a baseball or Orioles video. Thursdays and Fridays, of course, are our Hall of Fame profiles, which we had a really good one last week. We had Cy Young, and that video's taken off. It's got like 500 views. But I want to talk a little bit about the last video before that I did. I did a video on second half predictions for the Orioles. John Messina, welcome in. And that video has really done well. Picked up like 60 subscribers from it. Went over 800 subscribers for the channel. So thank you to everybody for being a part of that. We went over 800 subscribers in basically 7 months, which is really great, meaning about 100 subscribers a month, a little over 100 a month. So that's been really nice to be able to do that for such a brand new channel. And for a channel that really is specific to one thing, baseball, Orioles. And yet people are subscribing, and that means a lot. So thank you to everybody who does that. And so I did put out my second half predictions about the Orioles, and I'm going to get into a couple of those because I've had a lot of comments. If you look at that video, you'll see I've got tons of comments on that video. And I want to kind of address some of those comments because I find some of them to be interesting and yet, how do I word this? Puzzling. I'll say the word puzzling as to what people want. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the series that the Orioles just ended with. They started the second half after the All-Star break. They were in Texas. Last 3 games, they won Friday night. They won 9-2. Played really, really well. They won Saturday 8-4, and then they lost Sunday 3-2. But I want to kind of discuss a little bit of the overall theme of this Orioles team this year. That to me, again, maybe I'm a Debbie Downer here, and maybe that's my issue. Maybe I'm looking at this in too much of a negative fashion. But there are a lot of things that I see that worry me about this team. You know, Friday night, they scored 9 runs. All 9 runs were scored via the home run. A 2-run homer by, I think Rutschman hit one. They had another 2-run homer by Colton Cowser, so there's 4 runs right there. They had a 2-run homer by Anthony Santander. There's 6 runs, and then Anthony hit another 3-run homer. There's 9. So all 9 runs for the Orioles were scored off of home runs. That worries me. It's great that they can hit the ball out of the ballpark, but this team is so, and I've talked about this ad nauseum during my live streams when I'm live streaming a game, which we are doing Wednesday night, by the way. We'll be doing the Marlins game Wednesday night. They're one-dimensional. That's the only way they score runs. Now, on Saturday night, they scored 8 runs. I think 7 of the 8 were not from the home run. I think there was 1 home run that Ryan O'Hearn hit. But they left 15 men on base Saturday night. 15 men on base. Daniel Berry Sports, welcome in. Runners in scoring position, again, bad. They're not hitting at all. And then Sunday, they lost. Sunday, they scored 2 runs Sunday. How did they score the runs? And Anthony Santander, 2-run homer. Couldn't get a run home via any other way. They went 0 for 7 on Sunday with runners. I think it was 0 for 7. It might have even been 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. It's the same tired story with this offense. I'm sorry. Or Corbin Burns, Grayson Rodriguez, and even Dean Kramer. Dean Kramer gave up 3 runs over 5 and 5 1/3 or 6 innings. He kept them in the game. So all 3 of those starts were good starts by the Orioles starters. I mean, Dean Kramer had 1 mistake. He gave up the 3-run homer to Jonah Heim. That's it. That was his only mistake of the whole game. He really didn't pitch bad at all. And I've been really hard on Dean Kramer this year, but he was not that bad. But this offense has become too predicated and too predictable to the point that they have to hit home runs or they can't score. They had several balls on Sunday in the 3-2 loss that they hit to the warning track. But I'm like, oh, that's all they do. They hit. It's almost like it's just, how do I word this? It's like all it is batting practice. It's home run derby for them all the time. They're always going for home runs. They're not trying to drive the ball into the gap. They're not trying to go with the pitch. And that worries me. That's a problem when the playoffs roll around. So the series against Texas, look, they won 2 out of 3. They gained ground on both the Yankees and the Red Sox. When they lost yesterday, the Red Sox and the Yankees also lost, so they didn't lose any ground there. They gained ground in the standings. They're still 2 up on the Yankees, although I think the Yankees might have won today. So it might be a game and a half up on the Yankees, 6.5 up on Boston. So they've gained some ground since this weekend, and now they have a series starting tomorrow against the Marlins. And this is a big series for the Orioles. This is a bad team in the Florida Marlins. Now look, we've seen the Orioles this year. We've seen how they've struggled against Oakland, struggled against St. Louis, struggled against the Cubs, some of these bad teams, and they've struggled against these teams. They can't struggle against this team. When they play the Marlins starting tomorrow night, they've got to win 3. I almost think they have to sweep the series. And I want to hear from you in the chat. Look, maybe I'm overreacting here. Maybe it's continue to just 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. But they need to start stringing some wins together. I want to see 9 out of 10, 8 in a row, 7 out of 9, 7 in a row. Something like that. They've got to start stringing some wins together. Because I think it was since June 25th or something like that. I can't remember what they said, but they're under 500. So they're not playing as well as they have been in the past. So I think this series with the Marlins is one where they can get right real fast, and they need to do it. Hold on 1 second here, because I'm going to pull up something else too. I want to talk about the Orioles schedule a little bit with you. So after they have the Marlins series, and then they come home to the Padres and the Blue Jays. Again, 2 teams that are very beatable. The Orioles can play these teams, and they should do well against these teams. Toronto has totally tanked this year. They have Bo Bichette's back on the DL, on the IL. They're thinking about trading Vlad Guerrero. There's just a lot going on with that team. They are in last place. I think they're like 7 or 8 games under 500. They're about ready to be sellers at the trade deadline. This is a big chance for the Orioles to really take advantage of that and win some games against Toronto. And then same with San Diego. This is a beatable team that I think the Orioles, again, need to do really, really well. So they've got an advantage in the schedule for the next week and a half where they've got some games that are winnable. And they need to take advantage of that. And they need to do that as best they can. But we will see. We'll see if they do it. I have to get the lighting better in here. I have lighting. I didn't want to bring the lighting out. But I appreciate all of you being here. So anyway, that's the series coming up. That's the next series starting tomorrow. I think Albert Suarez is on the mound tomorrow night for the Orioles, and they should do well. But I want to talk about my first topic of the day. And look, we've been talking about this guy a lot, tons lately. But I think we're really at a point now, especially with the way the team has struggled offensively in some areas. I mean, there's a lot of, when I look at the Orioles, I see several holes in the lineup. Gunner's great, Adley Rutschman's great, Jordan Westburg's good, Anthony Santander, he's not going anywhere. He's going to play every day. But after you look at those, even Ryan O'Hearn, he's only going to face lefties. Against righties. He's played well. He's a good hitter. But after that, there's a lot of holes in this Orioles lineup. Jorge Mateo, Ramon Arias are pretty much non-existent offensively. They're good defensive players, don't get me wrong. But offensively, they've really been little help to the Orioles. When James McCann is in the lineup, He's a liability in the lineup. He's hitting like 212 this year. He's a liability. That's another hole in the lineup. Ryan Mountcastle has only hit like 2 home runs in the last 2 months. His power numbers have dropped off significantly, and his average isn't doing well. Now again, good player, good defensively, he's done well, but offensively, he is not a power threat anymore. So there's somewhat of a hole. Colton Cowser's been lukewarm. He's heating up a little bit in the second half, but he was batting as low as 217. So there's another guy that, unless he gets going, that's another hole in the lineup. Cedric Mullins, he's down to batting, I think, 211 on the season. I could look him up to get the exact number, but Mullins is struggling. There's another hole in the lineup. Austin Hayes, when he's in the lineup. There's a lot of holes, and not complete holes that they're liabilities, but there are some guys that when they come to the plate, they're just not getting it done, period. And that's why they've got to figure out a way to get this guy, Coby Mayo, who again, I've talked about ad nauseum. I'm going to continue to talk about him until the guy's called up to the major leagues. This guy has nothing left to prove to minor leagues. He's batting well over 300. He's leading the league in home runs, RBIs, playing a good third base, playing a good defensive first base as well. Not great, but good. He's getting better. He needs to be called up. I just don't understand what the Orioles are waiting on at this point. I don't see them trading him, and we're going to get into that in a little bit too. I don't see him going anywhere in the trade. I just don't think that's what the Orioles have planned for him. I think that they're going to find other ways. Now, the problem is how do you make room for him? Where do you go? He can't go to third because you've got Jordan Westburg and Ramon Arias over there. Or Kenny. We'll come back to that. He can't go over to first because you got Ryan Mountcastle and Ryan O'Hearn over there. They're splitting time at first base. So he's got to go somewhere. So where are you going to put Coby Mayo? Okay, so here's my opinion. We're going to have to make a decision on some of these players that are on the current Major League roster. Whether that's being included in a package in the trade, or whether that's just releasing them and making room for this kid. I seriously doubt Coby Mayo is getting traded by the Orioles. I just don't see it happening. I think his stock is so high with the Orioles. They want him on this team. They want to be able to see him develop and be a star with the Orioles. And so do I. So here's what I think should happen. What will happen, I don't know. I think that the Orioles have to let go or package Ramon Arias or Jorge Mateo to make room for this kid. That's how I see it. I can't see them saying, Heston Kjerstad, okay, we're going to send you back down again. I just don't see that happening. Ryan O'Hearn for now isn't going anywhere. Maybe Ryan Mountcastle. He may be in jeopardy. Maybe he's in jeopardy if he doesn't start picking it up. But somewhere, somehow, they've got to get this kid up there. And that's how I think they do it. I think either Ramon Arias or Jorge Mateo are going to be on the chopping block to make room for this kid in the lineup. And then what you do is you can either have him DH or play some third, which he's comfortable at. And then when he's playing third, you can put Jordan Westburg at second. Mateo or Arias, whichever one you keep, goes to the bench and stays there till they want him. And then you do that. Or if you put him over at first, then you DH one of the other guys, either Ryan Mountcastle or O'Hearn. There's ways of making the lineup happen. But to do it, they're going to have to make a player's going to have to get sacrificed off the major league roster. And I think that guy's got to be, it's got to be Ramon Arias or Jorge Mateo. But I've been saying that for weeks. This is not news. But that's what has to happen. And this kid's got to get called up. There's just nothing left. What are we waiting on? Let him come up, and you've given everybody else their shot. Even Norby. I feel bad for that kid. I mean, I think he's obviously one of the guys that's going to be packaged in a trade. But he got very little chance to come up. Why, I have no idea. He could easily slot right in at second base and play there for now and get his stock up if you want to do that. Let's see what he does. But they don't want to do it. I don't get it. So anyway, let me hear from you guys in the chat. Hey, Laura, welcome in. No, Laura, you're not going to package Well, it depends on who you're talking about. When you say they, if they package them, who's them? What players are you talking about? I mean, if you're gonna package Arias or Mateo together, you're not going to get much in return. Yeah, maybe a bullpen guy, and that's even if the other guys want those guys. Remember, that's the other thing too. Everybody can talk till the cows come home about wanting to trade for this guy or that guy or this guy. First off, they got to be made available by the other team, and secondly, the other team's got to want to take the players you want to trade. If they don't want them, then you're not making the trade. Victor, welcome in. Good to see you, Victor. Sony 4K, welcome in as well. Good to have you guys here. So there's a lot that goes into a trade. You know, people love talking about, oh, the Orioles are going to trade this guy, that guy, and they're going to get this guy, that guy. No. It takes two to tango. You can offer up a player, but if they don't want that guy, they're not trading their guy. And then they may say, okay, we'll trade our guy, but we want this guy and that guy. And the Orioles may say, well, we don't want to get rid of that guy. So that's the key. No, you're not going to trade a Jorge Mateo straight up for anybody else, Laura. It's just, teams aren't going to do that. Unless it's like a minor league pitcher, it's just not going to happen. Yeah, Victor, I think you guys are playing really, really well. Greetings. What's up, John? Welcome in, buddy. Good to see you. Yeah, I think that the Mets have played really, really well. But I told you at the beginning of the year, when we talked at the beginning of the year, and we can go back and we'll discuss this if you want. I told you I didn't think the Mets were going to be that bad. I didn't think they were going to be that bad, and they played really, really well. They're over 500. You know, what else is there? They're playing really, really well. But anyway, so Coby Mayo, I really thought he was going to get the call up this week in Texas. I thought they were going to call him up in Texas, take the pressure off of him, not at home, not in front of the fans where it could be really pressurized. You know, I think that was part of the problem they did with... Well, no, actually, they didn't do that with Jackson Holliday. They called him up in Boston, which I thought was a smart thing. Call him up on an away game when you don't have all the hoopla and all the hype of the local media. I think they did it right with Jackson Holliday, and I think they need to do that with Coby Mayo. I really thought they were going to call him up at the beginning of the second half. I really did. But not yet. We'll see. But anyway, so we'll see what happens with Coby Mayo. Next up, I want to talk about this. Now, I'm going to get into this for a minute. I really wish more people were in here to hear this. So, earlier this week, I posted a video. Lots of people have seen it. It's got over 3,000 views. I'm very happy with the way it's been received. And it was a video of my second half predictions on the Orioles. And part of it was I made a trade proposal of who I thought the Orioles were going to trade to get a certain pitcher. Yep, go watch the video and you'll see all about it. Got a lot of response to that. All the response I got was basically about the trade proposal. Dog Training Plus, welcome in. Jackson's on fire in July. Well, I'm going to get into that. Let's talk a little bit about Jackson Holliday, because everybody in the chat or in the comments section kept coming back. Orioles need to trade Jackson Holliday for this guy. Trade Jackson Holliday for this guy. Trade Jackson Holliday. Trade Jackson Holliday. And my response to these people were, why all of a sudden are we sour on Jackson Holliday? This is the guy that was the number one overall pick in the draft. Number one overall pick in the draft. He then shot up the prospect board, leaderboard around all of baseball. Baseball America, Baseball Prospectus, you name it. Baseball Almanac, I don't care. They all had him as the consensus number one best prospect in baseball. Period. Then, what does he do? He comes into the minor leagues at the ripe old age of 19, and he tears it up. He goes through 4 levels of minor league baseball, from low single A all the way up to triple A in the same year, and he rakes at every level. He comes into spring training this year, and he rakes at spring training. Orioles sent him down. I talked about that. I thought it was a bad move. I thought he should have made the team. I thought he earned it. But they sent him down. Then they call him up late April. He comes up and he goes 2 for 32. 2 for 34. He bats like 070, 050, something like that. Didn't get off to a very good start. Orioles sent him back down. He had some bumps in the road. Of course, he's had the inflammation in the arm. He's now back at second base. And fans are all of a sudden like, trade Jackson Holliday. And I'm thinking to myself, why in the world would you trade a super prospect? What's up, Chris? Welcome in. Why? Why would you do that? No, you don't. No, I'm not trading him. If there's an untouchable, him is it. Him is it. Hey, Hoot A Nation, welcome in. Go O's, thanks for the streams. Hey, thank you for being here. I'm sorry. I don't understand it. I'm like, why all of a sudden is everybody sour on Jackson Holliday and trade him away? The kid, you're right. Dog Training Plus said it. He's been raking in July. He's batting .333. I mean, he's really doing well. The other night he had 2 home runs in his first 2 at-bats at AAA. He's 20. He just turned 20. He's 20. And already he's at AAA, and he's doing really well, and he's succeeding at AAA. I don't understand it. Look, folks, I don't mean to be disrespectful, and I don't mean to be mean to folks, but if you know baseball, you know you don't trade this kid. I'm sorry, you just don't. You don't trade him. You can't trade a possible, anything can happen, a possible generational talent for anything. Because even if you were to trade him for a Tariq Skubal or a Garrett Crochet, there's no guarantee that that's going to guarantee. That's no guarantee that you're going to get into the World Series. And we're going to get into that, and I'm going to tell you why that is in just a minute. We're going to talk about that. So my opinion is Jackson Holliday doesn't get traded. I just don't get it. I don't understand where these fans are coming from. And I wish, I have nobody telling me, well, we need to win now. Let's trade away some of these prospects. This is our chance to win. I agree with that. But there's no guarantee that just because you go out and get that pitcher that you're going to win. Period. I don't agree with that. I am not mortgaging the future for I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I'm just not. Not in baseball. Because I'm sorry. I'd rather have long-term success than that shot at a World Series. And then what happens if you don't get it? Now I know people are going to say, well, what if you do? Then it worked out. Okay, maybe. Okay, you get one, but then Jackson Holliday goes to the Tigers, and the Tigers for the next 15 years are on top of baseball, and they win 3 or 4 championships. And we traded him away, and he's a generational talent that they've built around. Tariq Skubal's got, first off, Tariq, whatever you want to say it, he has injury issues in the past. And that worries me. I don't know. I don't understand why all of a sudden everybody has jumped off the bandwagon with Jackson Holliday. If this was a 27-year-old prospect who was an original number 1, it's been in the minor leagues for 3 or 4 years and just hasn't been able to put it together. Okay. That's not the case here. I don't understand it. Somebody's going to have to tell me. Chris says, yeah, you got to keep Holliday, no doubt. They can both win now and look for the future too. You have to keep him in a long time and do not trade. Again, just my opinion, but I don't think I'm alone. I think everybody I've listened to, I've watched other YouTube channels, I've watched other programs. Everybody's saying you're not trading him. Period. They're not trading him. I'm sorry, they're just not. They're not trading him. They traded Joey Ortiz, DL Hall, and a compensation pick for Corbin Burns. For Corbin Burns, who is leading the American League probably in the Cy Young voting, or if not, he's right there with Tariq Skubal. And yet you want them to give up a generational talent. Now I get it, you have 2 more years of control on that pitcher, but I just don't see it. I don't see him trading this kid, and I wish we had people in here who were on the side of, yes, let's trade Jackson Holliday, so that they could give me their perspective. Everybody in the chats that I've asked, their only answer is because we want to win now. That's it. That's their only reason why they say to trade Jackson Holliday. And I don't understand that. I don't. That's not an answer to me. Chris says he's so good. He started the All-Star game. That's good. That's not good. That's great. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I just don't see it happening in reference to Jackson Holliday. I think people need to pump the brakes on this kid and let's see him develop a little bit. Again, if he was 23, 24 years old in a year or two into the minor leagues, playing well but still hasn't gotten the call, okay, maybe we move on. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it is, and I don't mean any disrespect, but, you know, if you know baseball, you know you're not giving this kid, you're not giving him up. You're just not. They're so deep that they could offer other players and still make a nice package to Detroit or Chicago for one of their starters. Let's be real, Holliday and Mayo aren't going anywhere. All right, Curator, welcome in. I agree with that, and I really don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. And we're going to get into why I don't have a problem with that when I talk about the next part. I don't have an issue with that at all. If the Orioles stand pat, I don't have a problem with that. This is the same team, because here's where I don't understand. Okay? Everybody talks about all the Orioles, if they want to go far in the playoffs, they need to go out and get another starting pitcher. First off, they have the best record in the American League. Okay? With what they have the best record in the American League with what they have. Okay? So let's get into this a little bit, because that's going to be the next topic we're going to talk about. Okay? Oh, let me hold on. And it's this one. Is the current pitching staff enough? Do the Orioles, what they have, is it enough to win? And I'm going to go into what I think, and I'm going to give you some examples of something, okay? So I want to look at a few different things. First off, I think what they have is enough to win. I do. I think what they have is enough. They can win with what they have. And I'm going to give you reasoning behind why I say that. Mad Flat Hatter, welcome in. Spencer Howard was a can't-miss prospect for the Phillies years ago. And now he just got released by the Indians. Nothing is guaranteed. No, nothing is guaranteed. And that's the thing, Spencer. I agree with you 100%. But here's the difference. Mad Flat Hatter, from what you're saying. The Orioles have had many can't-miss prospects in their system. But it's not the prospect that's the problem. It's how you develop them. Because the Orioles had plenty of prospects that were highly touted by many teams that they said when the Orioles got him, they got a good pick. This kid's going to be a good ball player. But drafting is one thing. Developing is another. And where the Orioles have made big strides is in their development of players. Okay? Gunnar Henderson was a 42nd overall pick. He was a second round pick. High strikeout rate. They said he had a lot of swing and miss. Orioles developed him. Got him in, taught him how to hit the ball more. In other words, make more contact. And look at where Gunnar Henderson is now. Same with Adley Rutschman. Same with Coby Mayo, Connor Norby, Colton Cowser. The development is what keys long-term success. You can draft anybody, but if you can't develop them, then it doesn't matter. And that's where the Orioles have become such a huge success. Curator says, I'm going to actually throw y'all a wild card. We should trade for Brendan. Was it Brendan Feet from the D-backs? Spencer Howard's not the issue in the minor league system. Chewed him up and didn't develop them. Well, that was my key. That's my thing. It's all about development. You have to develop players, period. You have to. You have to develop players. And I think that's where the Orioles have done really, really well. And that's why I think Jackson Holliday won't be an issue. Brian, welcome in, Nomadic Brian. We really don't know about any of the prospects unless you own a hot tub time machine and get to see them in the future. That's very true. And you don't know, but to the same token, you don't know about a pitcher either, okay? And I'm going to get into some examples of why I say that. So here, let's talk about the Orioles pitching staff. And then I'm going to make a comparison, okay? I'm going to make a last year comparison to why I say it won't hurt if they stand pat. Here's what I'm going to say. The Orioles for 2024. Okay, this is the Orioles 2024. They are fourth in the American League in team pitching with a 3.68 team ERA. Corbin Burns, the ace, is 10-4 with a 2.38 ERA. He's got a 1.04 WHIP, and he's a Cy Young candidate. That's your number one guy. Number two, Grayson Rodriguez. He's 12-4 with a 3.83 ERA, a 1.22 WHIP, 120 Ks, and 105 innings pitched. Albert Suarez, 5-3 with a 2.82 ERA and a 1.24 WHIP. And then there's Dean Kramer, the worst of the four. 4-6 with a 4.43 ERA, but a 1.22 WHIP. So all of these guys, if you take those four guys, in my opinion, you can win with that. Okay? Because first off, what do all of them have that they didn't have last year? What did they all have that they didn't have last year, except maybe Albert Suarez? Playoff experience. Corbin Burns is a proven winner. He's been in the playoffs before. Grayson, Dean Kramer, all of these guys now have playoff experience. That's the first thing. So there's already a plus on the Orioles side. Now I want to compare them to the last year Texas Rangers World Series team. And this is the comparison that I'm going to make and how similar it is. The Texas Rangers of 2023, they finished 9th in team pitching in the American League last year with a 4.05 ERA. 9th in the American League team pitching. Nathan Eovaldi was 12-5 with a 3.63 ERA. Jordan Montgomery was 10-11 with a 3.20 ERA. Andrew Heaney was 10-6 with a 4.15 ERA. And Max Scherzer was 13-6 with a 3.77 ERA. When I look at that four compared to the Orioles four, no difference. No difference to me. And actually, in my opinion, the Orioles are better because they've got two guys with ERAs under 3 and better records. But that was what Texas went into the playoffs with last year. Okay? That's what they went into the playoffs with. Now let's talk about that. First off, it took them to the last game of the regular season to get into the playoffs, talking about Texas. But they got in. And once you get in, all you got to do is get hot. And that's exactly what these pitchers did. For instance, Jordan Montgomery, his first outing in the playoffs, he went 7 innings, 6 hits, no runs, no walks, 5 Ks. He got the win against Tampa Bay. His next outing was against the Orioles. 4 innings, 9 hits, 4 runs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts against us, but he got the win. Next outing, 6 1/3, 5 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 2 Ks. 1 walk, 6 Ks against Houston. He got the win. Next outing, 5 1/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. The bullpen blew it. He lost to Houston. Next outing, 2 1/3, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 1 strikeout against Houston. That was in relief, and he got the win. And then in the World Series, his only outing in the World Series, his team bailed him out. Well, he got hit in the World Series. 6 innings, 9 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk. And that's just Jordan Montgomery. And how's Jordan Montgomery this year doing, by the way? In 2024, 6-5 with a 6.44 ERA in 2024. He's terrible. But then we go to Nathan Eovaldi last year. In the playoffs, first outing against Tampa Bay, 6 2/3, 6 hits, 1 run, no walks, 8 Ks. Next outing against the Orioles, 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 7 Ks. His next outing against Houston, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 9 Ks. All wins for Eovaldi. Next outing, again against Houston, because he got 2 starts in the LCS against Houston. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earns, 3 walks, 4 Ks, another win. His only bad outing and the entire playoffs was in his first start in the World Series against Arizona. He goes 4 2/3, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, and 8 Ks, but his bullpen bailed him out. And then in his last start in the World Series, 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, 5 walks, 5 Ks. So all I'm getting at, folks, is when I look at the Orioles rotation, it's no worse. It's actually better than what the Texas Rangers went into the playoffs with last year. And Texas won because the pitching got hot. That's all you need. Because you can have, look, Dodgers have had great rotations over the years. The Braves have had great rotations over the years when they had Maddox and Smoltz. and Avery and Glavine and Denny Nagle and all those guys. They won one in 15 years. It doesn't guarantee anything. All you got to do, you got to get hot. And these guys are capable of doing that. If I go into the playoffs and I say in a 3-game set, the first 2 games are going to be Corbin Burnes and Grayson Rodriguez, I already think we have the advantage. Just like that. I don't get it. I don't know what people are seeing that I'm not seeing. I agree with what Chris said. Chris said it in the chat. I worry about the bullpen. If I have any worries anywhere, it's there. So if the Orioles are going to make a trade, if I'm going to be disappointed at all, I'm going to be disappointed if they don't get bullpen help. So that's my point. My point is do I think the Orioles can win with the current staff they have? Yes, I do. That's just my opinion. I think that they can win with what they have. If the guys can get hot and pitch well, and if Corbin Burnes stays Corbin Burnes and Grayson Rodriguez stays Grayson Rodriguez, the Orioles are going to do really well because everybody now has more playoff experience. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Right there, Victor. Agreed. Playoff runs are all about getting hot at the right time. They are. We don't play enough small ball. It's homer or nothing. Right. Chris talked about that earlier. That's the issue with the Orioles. Curator says if they get Mason Miller, can they get him without Holliday or Mayo? Yeah. First off, here's my thing. If I'm going to go after a Mason Miller, first off, Mason Miller worries me because he throws very, very hard, and everything is max effort all the time. That's a whole other story about that. That's one of the things that just kills me about baseball. He worries me about injury. I don't know. But, yeah, they could do it without... Yeah, I'm not trading Jackson Holliday for a reliever. I don't care who it is. No. No. Yeah, and that's the thing. Then you just don't do it. Thanks, Sony. Appreciate that. Yes, we do have that. One thing is Bull needs to say. Yeah, that's true, too. I mean, I think if the Orioles can get Danny Colon back healthy, then it really helps to balance the bullpen. He was a big loss. He's been a big loss. If they can get Danny Colon back and he's back to being what he was before he got hurt, he really balances everything for them. I really think he does. It's a number 3 starter or less, if anything. Top reliever would be nice. Yeah, I think that's what the Orioles are going to do. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if they went after a Jack Flaherty, if they went after him again. You know, we might have a reunion with a Jack Flaherty. Or they might go after a Tyler Anderson. Is that the guy's name in Anaheim? Or something like that. I don't see a Tariq Skubal or a Garrett Crochet. I really don't think the Orioles are willing to give up a ton of talent. Now, like I said, if they can say, here's Connor Norby, here's Drew Johnson, and here's, I don't know, Judd Fabian or Cade Povich, and they can get Tariq Skubal or they can get Garrett Crochet, fine. But if the Dodgers, if the Tigers or the White Sox say we want Coby Mayo and or Jackson Holliday, it's going to be a no. And I'll be honest with you, I think it should be a no. Yeah. Yep. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get caught up on chat here. Yeah, I remember that. Much different sport, but the football Giants got into the playoffs on the last day as the last wild card. They won the Super Bowl. Yeah. That's all. That's all it takes. That's exactly right. The point is, you can have whatever you have. You can be whoever you are, but you have to get hot at the right time. Look, the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Orioles were the best teams in baseball last year. They just were. Those teams were, and the Rays. All 4 of those teams were phenomenal teams, but they got cold at the wrong time, and all 4 of them got smoked in the first round. Gone. All 4, right? Braves lost, Dodgers lost, Rays lost, Orioles lost. None of them. Rays didn't win a game, Orioles didn't win a game, Braves didn't win a game, if I'm not mistaken. And I think the Dodgers might have won one. But all 4 of those teams, you know, the Orioles, Braves, and the Orioles and Braves won over 100 games last year. You don't do that by accident. Dodgers and the Rays were right there. Like 98, 99 wins, if not over 100 too. I don't remember the exact numbers. You don't do that by accident. They were good teams. They just got cold at the wrong time. Period. Mad Flat Hatter, one name I hear that might be available. You might see this series. Tanner Scott. Yeah. Well, he used to be an Oriole. Tanner Scott used to be an Oriole. Was he? I think he came over in the didn't he come over? He might have been part of the Manny Machado trade. I could be wrong. Or he might have been part of the Jorge Lopez trade. But he was an Oriole, and then the Orioles released him or traded him away. Tanner Scott playing really, really well. He could come back. I agree with you there, Mad Fly Hatter. You're exactly right. Brian said, Kramer is solid number 4. Just a 3-run homer last night. Yeah, I said that earlier. I agree. And I've been on Kramer's case all year long. You know, I think consistency is all I'm asking for from pitchers. They don't have to be dominant. I don't need shutouts. I just want consistency. What I don't want is I don't want guys leaving balls over the middle of the plate like he did last night against Jonah Heim. Left the ball over the middle of the plate and Heim takes it 15 rows deep. But I just want consistency. Don't walk a lot of guys. Pitch to your strength. You know, you're ahead in the count. Don't throw a ball over the middle of the plate. The different things like that is all I ask for from pitchers. And as long as they do that, they're going to be successful. Dog Training Plus says DL Hall reminds me of Tanner Scott. They both have rising fastballs, good sliders. I agree, but I don't even think DL Hall's playing this year. Is he even playing? I know he went on the injured list early in the season, but has he even come back? I know Joey Ortiz is having a nice year for Milwaukee, but where's DL Hall? I don't even know that he's playing. Would you trade Basayo for Scooball? Curator, here's the thing. That's the one name that I'm less inclined to be no. I know people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you're saying that. I would prefer not to. But if they do, of the three, of Holliday, Mayo, and Basayo, and look, I could be totally off base here, but of the 3, if you're going to trade one, that's the one I'm going to be the least upset about losing. And here's why. Did you notice how many catchers the Orioles drafted in this year's draft? They've got other catchers in the minor league system. Adley's going to catch for at least a few more years, quite often. Basayo is an unbelievable talent. Again, another kid, I think he's like 19 years old. And they say it just sounds different off his bat. And he's also got like a 60 or 70 grade arm, and he's good behind the plate. So he's the complete package. He's Johnny Bench is what he is, okay? He's got Johnny Bench's bat and arm and defense, you know. Or I'll say he's got Mike Piazza's bat and Johnny Bench's defense, or Pudge's defense. But what worries me about Basayo is he's already gone on the injured list twice. And as a catcher, it's the most demanding position on the field. Even more than pitching, in my opinion. You get bumps and bruises and cuts and scrapes, and it takes its toll. And that kid worries me, where I've already seen him twice have to go on the injured list. And at that position, that's one thing that worries me. So he would be the one I'd be the least upset about. But I would prefer them not to. Of the 3, yeah. Anyway, would you trade Basayo to the Angels? No, I would not trade him for Tyler Anderson. Absolutely not, Laura. No, we're giving up way too much. And see, here's Brian. Here's the thing. It's funny you said that. I think his time is. I think his days are numbered with the Orioles. I don't know why, but I have this feeling. If you looked at the numbers for Ryan Mountcastle, his numbers are progressively, over the years, steadily since his rookie season when he hit 33 home runs, going down. Steadily going down. This season is no exception. And now I'll pull up the numbers just to give you an idea. Kelsey Elizabeth, what's up, Kelsey? Welcome in. Good to see you. I like Mountcastle, but he is projected to be a guy that's going to hit home runs, okay, and drive guys in. He's not doing it. He's not doing it. His first full season in the major leagues in 2021, he had 33 home runs, 89 RBIs. In 2022, he went down to 22 home runs, 85 RBIs. Last year, 18 home runs, 68 RBIs. This year, 12 home runs, 43 RBIs. His numbers are progressively going down every single time. What's up, Kelsey? Welcome in. And that worries me. The fence, I think, and what I mean by that is this. That short porch in left, he took advantage of it. I don't think he's the home run hitter we thought he was. But now that it's been pushed back, he don't have it. He can't do it. He's a warning track power guy. And he's not a guy that's going to hit for a high average. He's not a guy that's going to hit balls in the gap. He strikes out way too much. And if you're going to strike out a lot, then you got to hit home runs. And he's not doing any of that. Plays a good first base, don't get me wrong. But when I look at his numbers, in 2024, he's got, 12 home runs, 43 RBIs. He's got 22 doubles. He's got 80 strikeouts, and he's batting .264. For a first baseman who, you want him to hit 30 to 35 home runs. And he's not, I don't know that he's going to do it. Curious says, Basayo, Norby, Mountcastle, or Tariq Skubal. Would they do it? I don't know that they would do it. They might. If Mounty is included in the trade, O'Hearn holds it until Mayo breaks in, possible. You know what, Brian? I don't know. Because I can't see Ryan O'Hearn being an everyday first baseman, and he's not going to play against lefties. So, I don't know. Again, that's part of the reason why I think they don't get rid of Mountcastle. Mounty's been in a slump and had the weird stretch of being sick. But he hits lefties extremely well. Even with his slump, he's hitting like 311, 860. Yeah. Look, I like Mountcastle, but he's not driving people in. He's not hitting home runs anymore. He's okay. I mean, he's an okay hitter. But you at first base, you want somebody that's going to be a power hitter. You do. That's what you want. There's certain areas on the field where you want your power. You want it at first. You want it at third. You want it in the outfield positions somewhere. That's where you want your power. And we're just not getting it from him. But hopefully he'll turn it around. I don't know. We'll see. I like Mountcastle, but we've got other options. The Orioles are, these guys in the minor leagues are putting pressure on these players. And maybe it's affecting them. Because, Mountcastle's got to look at it and say, geez, this guy Coby Mayo could take my job. If Ryan O'Hearn continues to hit, maybe Ryan O'Hearn stays. I don't know. We'll see. Same thing with these guys like Mateo and Urias. They have to say, geez, here comes Connor Norby. Here comes Jackson Holliday. We'll see. Laura, I don't know what it would take to trade to get a Tyler Anderson. It may not take much, to be honest with you. It's funny how Yankees and Dodgers think they can get Tariq Skubal. Well, I won't take anything for granted that they won't, be honest with you, Curator. They pulled off the Juan Soto trade and got him. Elias is the guy, he gets the big bucks to make these decisions. Exactly. That's exactly right. He has to know what he has to say, depth-wise, we're going to be fine. He's got to make that decision. He's got to say, you know what, we're going to give up Connor Norby, or we're going to give up Coby Mayo, and we're going to be just fine. They have to make that decision. You've got a nice player in Jordan Westburg. You've got a nice player in Jackson Holliday, Connor Norby, other guys that can play the middle infield. Gunnar Henderson's going nowhere. Adley Rutschman's going nowhere. Jordan Westburg is going probably nowhere. I hope what we're seeing from Westburg is long-term numbers. I'm hoping he's a 20 to 25 guy that's going to play awesome defense and is going to drive in anywhere from 80 to 85 runs a year and hit anywhere from 270 to 285. If we can get that kind of guy, he's going to be an excellent player for a very long time. That's the hope. And then sprinkle some of these other guys around. Look, nobody has a perfect lineup 1 to 9. Nobody has it. Nobody has it. You look at the Yankees lineup. The Yankees got a lot of holes in their lineup too. But they have, we as a team have a potential to have a 1 through 9 lineup that's going to be extremely hard for pitchers to deal with. Why would the Tigers take Spencer Jones, not even top 50, instead of number 2 in Basayo? I agree. I would agree. I would agree. But if Spencer Jones is all they can get and they really want to trade Tariq Skubal, maybe they do. But the other thing, too, is here's what I don't understand. People talk about this, and I want to bring this up. Let me pull this up real fast because I find this to be funny. When I look at the American League, okay, I'm trying to pull up. Sorry, guys. Stay with me for a minute. I'm going to pull up the standings here. When I look at the standings in the American League, the Tigers are only 6 games out from a wild card. They're only 6 games out. They're in the race. Unless they feel that 6 games is going to be too much to make up, they're still in the race at 6 games out. That's not that bad. All right, Victor, have a good night. We're not going to be much longer anyway, but we're coming up on 8 o'clock. But, I don't know. I think next week is going to be a very interesting week around Birdland as we see some of these other teams start to decide whether they are or are not in the race. Whether they're in it to win it or if they're going to say, we'll see you next year. I think we're going to find out really, really quick. What I don't expect to happen, or what the Orioles don't do, I'm losing my train of thought, is react to other trades. In other words, if they see the Yankees go out and get a Garrett Crochet, don't overreact and then pay too much to go get Tariq Skubal. Don't react to other trades. Make the right trade for us. Thank Kimball. I worry that Skubal injuring his arm with that motion. I agree. That was part of the reason why I said I don't know who I wouldn't give up these guys, because he does have injury history. Welcome in, by the way. Good to have you here. I agree with that. I think you're spot on. Your point is well made. I worry with his arm. Look, Garrett Crochet's got injury history as well. Look, almost everybody does in today's game. So I get it. Again, I just think the Orioles can win with what they have. They just have to perform. If they perform at the level that we know they can, then I think this team could be really, really good. Because to be honest with you, I don't think they've played to their potential. Mullins, Hayes, Santander have been terrible. Santander hits a home run or nothing. Mullins and Hayes have been terrible. Kowser's been bad since May 1st. Other guys have been up and down. James McCann's been terrible at the plate. Mateo and Urias are non-existent at the plate. The offense, the pitching's been, especially in the bullpen's been inconsistent at times. They haven't even played to their potential yet. Imagine if they do. Wow. Brian says, teams like the Tigers buy-sell prediction based on whether they are in decline or growth mode. If in growth, don't sell. Agreed. That extra wild card slot really changed. It does. Man, Flat Hatter, it totally changes the landscape. Because now so many other teams have that opportunity to take that spot. And that's all you got to do is get in. Look at Texas. Just get in. Once you get in, anything can happen. Just get hot. And I agree. That's all they got to say is, look, all we need is one good run where we win 9 out of 10 and we're in the spot for that last wild card. And then we're in. So I agree with you 100%. That's why I'm really shocked if these teams make these kinds of trades unless they really think they're out of it. The Angels, the Blue Jays, teams like that, they're out of it. Do the Blue Jays say to the Orioles, hey, you want Kevin Gausman back? Mooman's adjusting, rooting for him. This is the prospect transition price. I agree. Brian, I have no problem with the way I tend to give. That's why I get so upset with guys like Hayes and Santander and Mullins and Urias and Mateo. They're veterans. Kowser's going to get a very long leash for me. Jackson Holliday, a very long leash. Garner Henderson last year had a very long leash for me. Remember how terrible he was in April? He was batting like 180, 185 in April. But they're rookies. Jordan Westburg, a very long leash. These guys are brand new to the game, to the majors. They've not been in it that long. This is Jordan Westburg's first full season in the majors. Colton Cowser is a rookie, technically. He is in the running for Rookie of the Year. He's not going to win it, but he's in the running for Rookie of the Year. If he can get hot the rest of the season, he could be a Rookie of the Year finalist. I give a lot of leeway to these rookies. I don't give a lot of leeway to veterans. You're a veteran. You've been there. You've done it. Show up. And again, that's just, maybe I'm being too hard on these guys, but, show up. They need you, and they need you now, to be the veteran, to be the leader, and to get this team rolling and to help. That's why I get so upset with some of these guys. Anyway, all right, gang, that's going to do it for tonight. I will be back Wednesday night. Orioles, Marlins, going to call the game. Hopefully we'll be able to call it correctly. I'm hoping to get the screen up the way we want. But we're going to call the game. Haven't called one in a couple weeks. Couldn't call it last week because there was no game. But we're going to call the game on Wednesday. Second half is here, man. Home stretch now. Trade talk is really going to heat up. Next Monday is going to be a huge day. Let's see, what's next Monday? Next Monday is the 29th of July. The trade deadline is, I think, the 29th, isn't it? Or is it the 30th? But either way, we're going to have a lot to talk about next Monday. I'm sure we'll have some trades already happening. And next week could be a really big day. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. We just went over 800 subscribers, if you guys can believe that. Wow, we picked up a couple tonight, too. We're at 804. I want to look at my survey real fast. I put a poll out there. I got 22 votes. And in the poll, I put, who do the Orioles trade? Holliday, Mayo, Basayo. And then I put, or maybe Connor Norby and others. 45% said Connor Norby and others. 27% of you said Holliday. I'm surprised at that. But yeah, there you go. So that's the poll. I'm going to end the poll now. But look, guys, I appreciate all of y'all being here. O's heading to Miami. Hit South Beach and have fun, but be careful. Yeah, I wish I could go to the games. They're weekday games. I can't go during the week. I got to work. It's just a little too far away for me to go. But anyway, gang, thanks for being here. We'll be back Wednesday night for the game. We're going to call it. Go out there and check out my second half predictions for the Orioles. It's a big video. It's gotten a lot of views and lots of subscribers from it, so I really appreciate that. You guys are amazing. Thank you all for being here. If you're new here and you subscribe, welcome to the family. We have a lot of fun. We keep it family friendly here, but we enjoy it. And appreciate you all being here. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day. Keep rooting for the O's or your team. Take care of yourselves and each other. Bye, gang. Have a great night. Go O's.